Good morning. I'm Holly Coriella, member of the Board of Trustees of Tahoma UU congregation. We welcome all who are joining us who are longing for community, the hope for peace, and who are seeking justice. We are a diverse congregation where we gather seeking our own truth, beliefs, and a more meaningful life than we might find if on this journey alone. We invite you to join us in this search, which is guided by reason, respect for each other, and peaceful heart. We pledge to be guardians of each other's spirit and to always believe in each person's worth and dignity. We are grateful for everyone who joins us in our service and in our covenant. Welcome to you all. The wonderful thing about this virtual platform is that we have an opportunity to welcome guests outside our traditional graphical area. Just this morning, we've seen people chime in from Colorado Springs and Houston, Texas. And in past Sundays, we've had people join us as far away as England. So a special welcome to all of our friends, wherever you are, and to our returning friends. I also like to invite you to follow us on Facebook. Links to the video version of this service will be posted there at some point, as well as other communications. Please also watch for the news in your inboxes for other information on upcoming events. Let us prepare to gather in worship.
Good morning, my friends. We are living in strange and fearful times. Sheltered in place, watching the world as chaos emerges, as norms break down, as everything seems to be falling apart, blowing apart, erupting, breaking, with no repair in sight. Who has words enough to help? Who has power enough to help? Where do we turn in these strange and fearful times? Let us come together here in these moments to connect to one another, to pause and to listen, to remember the goodness that abides, the hope that endures, and the peace that is possible. Here on this day, we come together to celebrate, even and especially in these times, these strange and fearful times. We gather to celebrate the commonplace and ordinary events that give our lives shape and meaning. I invite you as we come into worship together to breathe deeply in and out, to relax your shoulders and come into this time and space of goodness and of hope and of peace.
To the part of the service where we light our chalice. You can join with me in the words that are displayed in the chat or by memory if you have been with us before. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and the holiness of life. In honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come.
My friends, I invite you into a time as we look at our lit chalice and our bowl of joys and sorrows, of concerns. Next to my chalice, I have a bowl of water and some salt. If you have some too, I invite you to use your hand to stir the salt into the water, and to submerge your fingers into it to stir it. Use your hand, feel the water, feel the salt. Submerge your fingers into this water as we promise to put ourselves into the holy work of anti-racism. I invite you to taste the salty water as a reminder of the grief and the trauma inflicted on Black and brown bodies in this country, and the legacy of pain that is ours to help both dismantle and heal. I invite you to write names of those who have died in the chat, and for all of us to say them aloud as they appear. Who have we lost to police violence? Type the names into the chat. Speak them aloud. Say those names with grief, and if you're white, with responsibility. Our tears are not enough. Our anger isn't even enough. But our lamentation and rage drive us to act, to hold vigil, to make phone calls, to offer financial support, to interrupt harmful conversations, and to initiate uncomfortable conversations with those who would rather look away. May our tears that come be a beginning. May we keep going.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Slocum. I am the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth here at Tahoma UU Congregation. This is the time when we invite the children to come up to hear a story or lesson of some sort. So I encourage kids at home to come in a little closer to the computer and join us this morning. So today we're talking about thresholds. What's a threshold? Well, if you think about a doorway, the threshold is a strip of wood or metal or maybe some stone that shows the transition from one room to another, or maybe from inside to outside. Thresholds can also be thought, rather than an actual doorway, they can be something symbolic of a doorway. We all have times in our lives when we're moving from one part of our life to another. Sometimes those thresholds might feel small, like just learning a new skill. Like imagine learning to ride a bicycle. As you prepare to learn it, you are crossing the threshold from being someone who doesn't know how to ride a bike to someone who is a bike rider. And all of a sudden your world is different because you've crossed that threshold. You now can go for bike rides with your family or with your friends. You can maybe get to places that you couldn't get to before. You get to know the joy of pedaling a bike and feeling the wind in your face. Other thresholds that we cross might be something that happens after a long, long time of planning, preparation, and effort. This is the time of year when kids are finishing up their school year. So moving, let's say, from second grade into third grade, crossing that threshold really started way back on the first day of second grade. You work through the year and you learn what you need to know so that at the end of your second grade year, as you cross the threshold into third grade, you have done all that work and you know the things you need to know to be a third grader. In our congregation, we like to celebrate and honor our members and people who are crossing those big thresholds in their lives. Because being part of a church community is to support each other and to celebrate each other's accomplishments. Even when times are tough, when there might be things going on that make us feel sad or make us feel angry, we still want to pay attention to the good things that are happening around. Being able to celebrate together is a very important part of community. So today we are going to celebrate people who are crossing some big thresholds. For many, their journeys to this place has been long and it's been challenging. But before we move on to celebrating them, I want us to imagine a journey. Today, in our minds, we're going to take a journey. We're going to go on safari. We're going to go to photograph animals in the African savannah. So in order to take this journey, we're going to need to pack our supplies like food and water. We're going to need to pack our camera, of course, and we'll need a guide to take us. So as we go on our journey, join me, please. Our footsteps. Slap your thighs and then your hands in front of you. And this is a call and response. I'm going to say a line and then you're going to say a line after me. You're going to repeat what I say. Okay? Ready for this journey? Going on safari. I'm so excited. I've got my supplies. I've got my camera. I've got my guide. Oh no, what's this? A great big grassland with grass taller than we are. We can't get around it. We can't go under it. We're just gonna have to go through it. Come on, everybody, through the grass. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Oh, finally, back on our journey. Going on safari. I'm so excited. I've got my supplies. I've got my camera. I've got my guide. Oh no, what's this? A great, big, tall mountain. We can't go around it. We can't go under it. We're gonna have to climb over it. Okay, everybody, let's hike. Up, 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 up. Oh, we've reached the top. Take a look around. So beautiful. And now down the mountain. Here we go. It's always faster going down, isn't it? Ah, we made it. Back on our journey, going on safari. I'm so excited. I've got my camera. I've got my guide. Oh no, what's this? A big, muddy swamp. We can't get around it. We can't go under it. We're gonna have to go through it. Ready, everybody? All right, through this swamp. Oh, finally, we're at the savannah. In your mind, take a look around. I see lions and zebras and giraffes and elephants and ostriches. You can take your camera out and take some pictures and enjoy the view. What's that I hear? It's the bell starting the service at Tahoma UU. We need to get back. Everybody, let's go. We're gonna go fast. Through the swamp. Back. And now the mountain, ready? Oh, down the hill, all right. Through the tall grass. Oh, and now we are back at Tahoma UU. That was quite a journey. We had obstacles to deal with, didn't we? But it didn't stop us. We were tired and we were muddy and we were hot, but we kept going until we got to our destination. So now is the time for us to sit back during our service to celebrate some people in our community who are crossing their own thresholds, who have been on their own journeys. Today we celebrate the birth of a child, a high school senior who is graduating from high school, people who have taken on a new role in their lives on their personal journeys to become members of our congregation, and someone who is graduating from seminary. Seminary is a school where one studies to be a minister. There may be others of you who are crossing a threshold of some sort. We celebrate you. It is important that we celebrate together. Thank you.
We now come to the part of our service where we would normally pass the plate. I want to share words from Reverend Heather Christensen. Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision, a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. That vision is embodied in a few large congregations, numerous mid-sized congregations, and many, many small congregations. No matter the size, every congregation depends on each of its members. Each of you, by your commitment of time, energy, and resources, helps make that grand vision real. Individually and together, we are Unitarian Universalists, building a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. Please take a moment with the information that's on the screen and support the sacred place that's here for you. You can give to either Tahoma UU, as you can see on the screen, or to the Vashon Island Unitarian Fellowship. But please, share your resources with this congregation and this community that is trying to do so much for so many of us and succeeds. Thank you.
One of the greatest joys in the life, excuse me, of a religious community is pausing to welcome a child. If we weren't in the midst of a pandemic, by now we would have had a chance to meet the child that you're about to help bless. We would have already had a chance to meet him. We would have brought him into our midst. We would have been oogling and cooing over him. Some of us might have even had a chance to hold him. What a blessing that would be. Today we get to meet him in this format and take time to honor him and his name and to bestow our long distance blessings upon him and be grateful, always grateful for the blessings that he brings to the world. I invite into your imagination, my friends. I invite into your imagination our sanctuary full of beloved people, friends nearby, Alexa and Steve and their child up in front with me. We call our ritual for welcoming children a dedication. With this act, we do not dedicate a child to a particular journey, but rather we will dedicate ourselves to him and to all the children of the world. Imagine, please, that I have been given the privilege and delight of holding this small and beautiful child. With him in my arms, I ask Steve and Alexa now to tell us his name.
Ira Jean Aviles Arnold.
Ira Jean, and I'm missing that third name.
Aviles.
Aviles, right.
Arnold.
Nameless, you came into the world but now you will be known by your name. May it ever be a name of honor and love and beauty. I would now turn and walk into the congregation and show Ira to you. And I would say, my friends, I introduce you to Ira Jean Avelis Arnold. And then I would come back to the front to Steve and Alexa and reluctantly hand him back. We would gather and bless him, first with a candle lit from our chalice to signify the spark of life that he shares with all who live, the spark of the divine that burns within all. I would hand that candle very carefully to one of his parents, probably to Steve at this moment. I would take a flower that's in the bud and I would dip it into a bowl of water, probably the bowl of water that I put salt into this morning. Blessed first by the waters of his birth, he is blessed again by these drops of water that I touch to his head to remind him and us of the interconnected web in which we all live. And finally, I would give him the, I hope, non-poisonous flower that is in bud. This would be a recognition of the unfolding of his life. We do not and cannot know what life will bring him, yet we trust that it will unfold and blossom in beauty. We delight in this light. Finally, I would turn back to you, the congregation, and I would ask you for your promise, your dedication to this child and to all the children, that we strive to create a world in which they are nurtured and cared for, a world where justice is possible, love abides, and hope is tangible. In these days, these strange and fearful days, it is even more essential for us to make and keep that promise. Speak your promise aloud where you are and share it in the chat. If you share it there, we will make a copy of this so that Alexa and Steve and Ira all can have a copy of our blessings to him. And I say for me, Ira, I dedicate myself to the work of making the world safe, just, loving, and filled with hope for you and for all the children of the earth. Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Love you all. Thank you.
Oh, what a beautiful baby. Wait to get him into the religious exploration program. And on the other side of the childhood spectrum, I am just honored and delighted to take this moment to recognize our bridgers, those who are leaving high school and moving out into the world. They are bridging from being youth to young adulthood. Izzy Wallace is not here with us this morning, but we include her in our bridging with much love. Cyril Oliver Chandler is here this morning. He's the son of Thomas Oliver and Jeffrey Chandler, and to be honest, I'm not sure how long he's been coming to Tahoma UU, but I know it precedes my coming here, and for many years before that, I believe. I have loved getting to know Cyril during my time here. I admire his kindness, his enthusiasm, and all the gifts he shares with us. So I introduce to you Cyril Oliver Chandler.
Hi. Okay, so my name is Cyril Oliver Chandler, and as Nancy explained, I am a bridging senior this year. I am so fortunate to have this opportunity to be sharing a bit of my story with you all this morning. I was having trouble finding an inspiration for my speech due to some unforeseen circumstances, such as the pandemic going on right now, but I found it. So I invite you to sit down, relax, and take a trip with me down my personal memory lane in under 5 minutes. So it all started when I was in the 8th grade. I was new to Tacoma, but not new to Unitarian Universalism or UUism. When I first moved to Tacoma, I was going through a very difficult time of my life, and at that time, I felt like the only thing, or one of the only things that helped me get through it was UUism. It was my first time visiting the church, and I was scared because I didn't know anything, and I was kind of out of my comfort zone. But I quickly found a great support system of other youth like me due to the wonderful RE program. Although I was simply a middle schooler, we dove into some pretty cool and unique spiritual topics that I can still remember to this day. And then before I knew it, I was a freshman in high school about to take on the legendary youth group that I heard stories about at my old church of the Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or KUUF. I was honored and kind of scared because I met youth that I have never personally talked to before. But they grew to be my family quickly, and the next year I was a sophomore. My fellow youth group friends urged me on to apply to a convention for UU called CON. CON is a biannual gathering of UU youth from all over the Pacific Northwest, where we dive into spiritual activities and learn more about UUism. I was so scared my first con, and I almost didn't apply, but I don't regret it because I have made everlasting friendships that I am so happy to have made. I have been attending con for the past 3 years, and similar to here, I recently bridged at my last con as well. We had to do it virtually this time around, but the sentiment was beautiful and meaningful as I have seen it during previous years at con. I am so grateful for all the leadership opportunities that the UU community has given me, not only at our church, but at other district events such as CON and what is now called Metamorphosis Leadership Camp. I am glad to now be an emerging adult of the UU community. Now, you guys might be wondering what my plans are since I am bridging and graduating. Well, in terms of UUism, I plan on still being connected with the community and join different teams of young adults and emerging adult ministries that aim to help serve the community. Non-UU related, I will be attending Pacific Lutheran University in the fall to get my BFA or Bachelor's of Fine Arts in musical theater, as well as participating in various clubs and groups such as the dance team and different advanced choirs. After receiving my BFA, I plan on traveling to Boston, Massachusetts to work on getting my MFA or Master's of Fine Arts in Theater Education, as this is such an important element of my life, and I truly believe in the gift of expression and passing it along to others in need of it. Hopefully by the time I leave PLU, I will have helped the community there grow a fantastic theater education program. I thank you all for listening to my story this morning. And as I cross the bridge into a new area of my life, I will never forget the teachings that UUism has taught me. And as we say at CON, this is good night, but not goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, Zyreel. We told Zyreel when we had a little rehearsal yesterday that at this point he should imagine cheering. So let's please cheer for Zyreel. It's a great accomplishment. Thank you, Zyreel, for that.
Woo! Yay! Woo!
So, and I'm so happy to hear you're going to be close by at PLU. I hope we will see you here at TUC again. Just remember, please, you always have a home here at Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. One of our traditions during our bridging ceremony is to have the bridgers actually cross across our chancel, leaving the youth group and walking towards an assembled group of young adults. Obviously, we can't do that in person today, but we can imagine as Zyreel walks across our chancel, lean in to listen to this greeting from our young adults.
Hi, Zyriel. I welcome you to the next part of your journey. It's going to be full of adventures and things you would have never imagined. Life is going to take you some great places.
Zariel, I welcome you to this next part of your journey.
We pause a few times a year to welcome our new members, and sadly, we've not done this in quite a while. And so we wanted to pause and just say welcome and hurrah, we are so happy to be expanded by your stepping up and stepping in and being part of this community. I invite you in the chat again to just shout your welcome, shout your love and care for our newer members. Some of these folks joined, back in the fall, and some at various other times during the year. So V and Rose and Maggie and John and Deborah and Becca, Laura, Amy, and Brian, we are so happy to have you as a part of our community. Welcome and all our love. Here we are. And now it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce and invite in Matt Aspen. Matt was our intern here. I had to go back and look to figure out when he actually joined us. I was like, how many years ago? What year was that? It was our first service together was in August, late August of 2016, as Matt came to be intern with us on a part-time basis over 2 years. It was a marvelous time of learning and growth and celebration, all of us together. Matt finally, yay, graduated from seminary from Meadville Lombard Theological School just a few weeks ago. And I got a chance, because it was online, I got to see him move his tassel from one side to the other, and delighted in his achievement of this next step in his journey towards ministry. So friends, I invite you to listen in to our friend and now graduated intern minister on his way to ordination. He would have actually been ordained yesterday were it not for the pandemic. So welcome, Matt. And Matt, we love you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for inviting me back here. This journey has certainly taught me, if nothing else, about the power and love and just resourcefulness available in community. I see so many names on the participant list: Bob and Chris and Tanya and David and Barbara and Joan and Libby and Nancy and Zyriel, and all these faces that I wish I could see because I miss you all so very much. I did, in fact, graduate from seminary finally a couple of weeks ago. I started that journey a year before I even met you. And it's amazing to me how many names I don't even recognize. There's new people in the community. Life continues on. And so if I haven't met you yet, I hope we get the chance to cross paths at some point. Wow, seminary was a long road. I think the best way to describe it is that there was grasslands I had to go through. And then I had to climb over a mountain, and there was some muddy puddles along the way. And accidents, being hit by drunk drivers, and relationship breakups, and moving out, and so many people I cared about getting cancer along the way, including my amazing mentor. And all I kept doing was focusing on the finish line. I was like, I just got to take one more step, one more step, one more step. It's working full time. It's doing an internship. It's taking classes. It's being a parent. It's living life. And it's tiring and it's exhausting, and you're trying to hold people's pains. And you just say, I just got to get to the finish line. I just got to get to the finish line. And then there's a pandemic, and your finish line gets moved. And you have a graduation that you've been looking forward to, seeing your friends and hugging them and holding them and looking in their eyes and celebrating what happened, and that gets moved online. And then you get the real finish line, and you say, okay, I'm going to become ordained. I'm finally going to make it to the end of this road. And there's a pandemic, and then that gets pushed off. So I thought, as a minister, what better thing to do with this time that I've been given than to share the lessons that I've learned along the way. And they're the same lessons that I've always preached, and you never take your own advice as hard as you should. So the lessons I've learned along the way of this journey, you've heard me say this so many times if you were here when I was with you: self-care, daily spiritual practice. The work that we take on when we see the injustices in this world is hard, tiring, never-ending work. And if you don't take care of yourself, you will end up burnt out and not of much use to anyone. And the other thing that I've really learned is the importance of ritual and consistent ritual, and how these rituals and how these moments that mark transitions, how important they are. I turned 50 on my own in, just quarantined at the height of the thing. And it doesn't feel like I've passed a life milestone by reaching the half-century mark. I graduated, but it doesn't necessarily feel real. And my friends and I are all looking forward to creating new opportunities for this. But I think the biggest lesson that I want to share is, as each of you go through and have these missed opportunities because we've been so quarantined, don't minimize your losses and your pain by comparing your losses to the losses experienced by others in this world. Right now, in this time that we're in, the pains that you know that exist, don't compare your losses to anybody else's. Your pains and your losses are real. And if you don't take time to grieve them and own them and recognize that they are real before turning back to try to tackle the problems of the world, you will be less good to anybody. So with that, I am going to let you know what I'm doing next. I recognized in my own self that I had not spent enough time, I had not devoted enough energy to self-care. And I recognized all the components of burnout. And when you burn out, you cannot help others. You just can't. So I am packing up my apartment right now. I am about to take a summer sabbatical. Found a way to make that. I am graced to be able to do that. And then I will take that time to reflect on the journey that I've just been on and figure out what's next and figure out where I want to make my contribution to the betterment of this world. So I am grateful for this community. It is so good to be with you here today. You have no idea how important community like this is in the holding and the support and the love that this world so desperately needs. Keep together, keep holding each other, keep strong. I love you all. Thank you.
My friends, as always, we will pause for a few moments. Again, taking a breath, reflecting on what we have heard and experienced and know this morning. I invite you now to take a moment, if there has been something in the service, in the music or the words or the stillness that has touched you, to set an intention for how you will live it out into the world in the days to come. Let us just pause for a few moments of stillness and breath. Amen, and so may it be.
What a joyous day, celebrating these thresholds people have crossed, their accomplishments, their journeys. As a blessing, I would like to share part of a song. It's called Child of Mine, and it was written by Bill Staines. He wrote it as a lullaby, a parent singing to their child. I've adapted it slightly, but I believe it can speak to all of us on our journeys. There is a road, and that road is all your own. But we are here. You need not walk alone. To face, not fear, each coming new unknown is the way to lift your wings. In that place where spirits fly above, there is but one that belongs to you. So let it grow, and it will thrive on love, for it is love that sees us through. You have the hands that will open up the doors. You have the hopes this world is waiting for. You are our own, and you are so much more. You are tomorrow on the wing. Blessed be.
We will now extinguish the chalice that we have lit not only at TUUC, but some of you in your own locations. The words you will see are in the chat. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And now we'll join with Zyril in singing our closing blessing song.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and to this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and to this we live.
We love you, Ira.
We love you. Thank you so much.
You say I love you too.
Thank you so much. You want to get quiet?
You got so much to say. Did you say everything you wanted to say? Yeah. Okay.
We'll play a game of pass the baby around when we can. And a River. You want to say hi to River?
Don't get the two of them confused.
The other baby.
If we're not paying attention, he'll sneak into Ira's crib.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You.